Okay, welcome everybody. We are ready to get started. We are holding in Torah Chaf Gimel in Likutei Moharan Tinyana, which is the second portion of Likutei Moharan, lesson 23. If you have the black book, it's I'm not sure which volume. It's probably the second volume, page 4, maybe the first volume, page 454. If you have these books that we published, it's on the page numbers at the very bottom of the page. It's page 16. And we are talking about the inyan of Simcha. And all these beautiful ideas that go together with it. What does Tinyana mean? Asks Toby. Tinyana is Aramaic for second. So it's the second section of Likutei Moharan. Why Aramaic? I guess it's like a common way that they use for first and second sections in classical Jewish texts, and it made it into Likutei Moharan also. Interestingly, fun fact, when we switch from Hebrew to Aramaic, one of the sets of letters that switch is a shin becomes a taf. So really, it's like similar to the word shnia, which means second, or like Mishnah Torah, which means a repetition, or also kind of like the aspect of second. So, fun fact. We're full of fun facts. Okay. So, we're going to get into some awesome stuff today. We've been doing Chaf Gimel now. This is our fourth shir on these two Torahs that go together. And hopefully what I would like to do today, if possible, is we'll kind of finish with Chaf Gimel, which is the first one, 23, and we'll go straight into 24, Chaf Dalet. And because they're meant to be together. Normally, we have a principle that when we're learning a lesson in Likutei Moharan, we view it as one thing, and we don't borrow from other lessons. And one of the ways we explain, this is one of the 18 principles in learning Likutei Moharan. And one of the ways we explain it is that you could have two different types of medicines, for example, and they're for totally different things, but they each have a same ingredient in them, right? And you might be tempted to say, oh, this one has this ingredient, and this one also has this ingredient. So, it's my heart medication. So I'll take, instead of the heart medication, I'll take the gout medication. I don't know, I'm making up things over here. They both have the same ingredient, right? But that gout medication is not going to help your heart because they just happen to share one little ingredient, but really they're doing something completely different. They're putting you on a totally different path. So too, the first principle in learning Likutei Moharan is that we view each lesson as that everything is contained within that lesson to understand it properly, as opposed to drawing from anywhere else, but particularly, not particularly, but even other lessons of Rabbi Nachman we don't draw from, right? So, but sometimes they're kind of put together on purpose. And how do we know they're put together on purpose? They're right beside each other, and they share certain concepts that lead one into another. And Reb Nosson explained to us that these, when Rabbi Nachman gave these over, they were meant to be like brother and sister, or sisters, or brothers. Yeah. Twins? I don't know. This is what they're meant to be. So we were speaking about this, the inyan of Simcha. Just a quick, very tiny sort of review is that Rabbi Nachman starts off talking about the inyan ha-simcha, the matter of Simcha, the idea of Simcha, whatever you want to call it. And then he right away gives a mashal. And the mashal the analogy is that when you have a circle of people dancing, happy people dancing, people who are smeichim and merakdim, they're dancing together. Sometimes they go and they pull a person from the outside in, and they force that person to be happy with them, right? Together with them. And we learn beautiful things about this idea. In the first shir of this one, such gorgeous ideas that we bring people. We want to make sure that we see someone and we pull them in, and then we make them imahem. We make them that they're with us. They're together with us. They're one of us. They're not alone on the outside. They're together. They're together with us. And we said that this is something that we can do just according to the mashal. not according to what he's trying to say on a deeper level. Just the analogy, even on its own, is a tremendous lesson about what we should be doing. Then we said so too. Sometimes a person, he said, "Ken yesh b'inyan simcha." So too by the aspect of simcha, the idea of simcha. When a person is happy, then his sadness and his gloominess tend to go to the side, right? They escape off to the side, which is one thing, which is one good level. But a higher level is to grab, kidnap, chap, that mara shechora, that sadness, and pull it into the simcha and transform it into simcha also, right? And there's so much to say over here. Wow. Yep, that's what we want to do. We want to transform it. And he keeps using the lashon against its will. We want to take the sadness, bring it into the thing against its will, and transform it into simcha against its will. So we have to understand what this means. There's a lot of deep stuff to understand over here. But that's kind of where we left off. We explained last week a few ideas how we see this coming out in certain mitzvahs and certain realities, that we need to be able to go and go to accept that we find ourselves in certain challenging places, certain low places, and know that we have to take that and raise it up and bring it into the simcha. That's our job, right? And so we mentioned also the aspect of that music is like this. Music does not just all go at the highest tempo and at the highest pitch and at the highest volume. It has to have dynamics. It has to go down and up and down and up, and it keeps going down and then bringing back up and going down and bringing back up. Even melody goes like this. All aspects of music are like this. And that's what makes it powerful. When there's tension in music, right? Tension. Then we appreciate the ups, which is a topic on its own. We also said about this aspect of the feminine and masculine sides of the Kabbalistic Hishtalshalis, which got extremely deep. And then we also said about Nadav and Avihu, that they didn't want to get married. They didn't want to bring together that left and right side. They didn't want to, as we said, when we get married, anyone who's been married knows it's not easy. And marriage causes us to confront, deficiencies within ourselves. Right? We have to, that mirror gets put up and we see what's wrong with us. And it's not easy. But it's something that allows us to take that and to realize that it's also part of my life. It's an opportunity to grow from that and to see it also as being a messenger from Hashem that's going to help me. It's going to help me grow. So I take that thing that feels like it's pulling me down, feels like it's sadness and gloom, and maybe it starts like that, but right away I say, oh, no, thank you, Hashem, for a wonderful spouse who's able to show me what I need to do with myself and where Hashem is guiding me, showing me where to grow, showing me how to become better. Thank you. Thank you for everything in my life that's showing me this, right? It's lifting me up. That's one aspect. But we're not quite there yet. We're not quite to a good understanding of how do I do this? How do I transform my sadness into simcha? And a certain person has reached out to me a couple times this week and been like, I need help. I still don't get it. I don't get, how do I do this? What does it mean? So we're trying. We're going to make it, I think. God willing. The person's not here right now, but we'll see what happens. So let's continue through this Torah, and then we'll bring out a couple ideas, and then when we begin the next one, also today, that's when we're going to start to hopefully really get into a deeper understanding. So we're on page 18 in this book, which is 456 in the black one, and it's the second paragraph down. It says, "V'zeh b'chinas sasan v'simcha yasigu v'nasu yagain v'anacha." This is an aspect of the pasuk that says, happiness, joy and happiness will overtake them, or you, and sadness and sighing will flee, will run away. V'nasu yagain v'anacha. So this pasuk is written in the Navi Yeshaya, who's prophesying about the return of Klal Yisrael to Yerushalayim, coming back from exile, right? The end. So I think he's talking about when they came back after the first Babylonian exile, But it's of course also referring to the ultimate geula, the return to Yerushalayim, right? He says at that time, when we come back, when everything is revealed, right? Sasan vasimcha yasigu, you'll be overtaken with joy and happiness. Nasu yagan vanacha, and sadness and groaning and crying will be running away, fleeing. Nasu, right? That's what the pasuk says. So Rabbi Nachman says that something awesome. So he says he's learning it a little bit differently. He's understanding it like this: Shayagan v'anacha borchim v'nasim min hasimcha. Not that you're going to be overtaken with sasan and simcha, and then the sadness is going to run away. But it's the sadness that's going to be overtaken by the simcha. That's what it's running from. He's saying that sadness, and crying and sighing, they run away and flee from simcha. Ki beisa simcha derech hayagan v'anacha lamoed min hatzad. Because at a time of simcha, the way of sadness and sighing is to stand at the side. Aval tzarech lirdoif achareihem daika. But we have to specifically, b'davka, not let it stand there. We have to chase after them. We have to chase after the sadness. Ulahasigam, ulahagiam, to reach them, to grasp them. Ulahachnisoisam davka l'soicha simcha, and specifically to pull that into the simcha. This paragraph is so awesome, and it's going to teach us some things that are so powerful and so amazing that are going to go into the next Torah. It's going to be some of the basis for our understanding of the whole thing, I think. Let me just give a preface. It's so important here because, especially over here, but whenever we're learning the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, you should always know this, but I'm just making a special statement here. I'm not saying that this is Rabbi Nachman's, what Rabbi Nachman's pshat is. This is what he's saying. I'm saying that this is the way Rabbi Nachman is speaking to me. This is the way I'm understanding it. Rabbi Nachman's words are so deep and so amazing, and he speaks to everybody a little bit differently. And because of his incredible depth and kedusha that he's able to do that. He can say multiple things at one time, right? So what I'm saying here is my understanding. If you don't like it, that's okay. You could read it and find your own also. So don't worry. But like this, what does he say over here? Let's go to the second thing he says. At a time of simcha, the way of sadness is that it stands at the side. You're happy? You're in a happy place? So what does simcha do? What does sadness do? It stands at the side. As long as you're happy, it's not gone, but it's standing there. That doesn't sound like fleeing, right? If you're just happy, this is the first part of the mashal, where he said, sometimes we bring someone in, right? And then he said, it's good to be b'simcha and to keep the sadness away, but a bigger level, a higher level is to grab it and pull it in. So what is it doing when we're just happy, but we're not trying to deal with it? We're just enjoying our happiness, and we're allowing our issues, our sadness, our whatever you want to call them, our peklach, our baggage, we're allowing it to be there. We're not touching it. It's standing at the side, right? And you know what it's doing there? The way I'm understanding this? It's very happy to be there. It's like, you do your thing. Be happy. I'm not moving. I'm staying here, and I'm coming back. Right? Look out. That's what it does. And so that's what he says. This is its way. Derech hayogim v'nacha lamoid min hatzad. It's standing there. It's staying there. It's not moving. So what's it doing? Why is it that right before that we said that shayagin v'anacha borchim and nasim min hasimcha, right? That it also runs away. It flees and runs away from simcha. So I think what Rabbi Nachman is saying over here, because he says, Aval tzarech lirdoif achareim, we have to chase after it. It's standing on its own, not good enough. We have to chase after it. And as long as we're chasing after it, what's it doing? It's running away. It's running away, it's fleeing. If we don't chase after it, it's standing there waiting for us. But if we're chasing after it, it's moving, it's fleeing, it's gone. What does that mean? It's always going away from us. If we're willing to put this work in to understand this and to say, I am going to always be chasing away the sadness. I'm always going to be trying to to overtake it, to bring it into my simcha. I'm always going to be trying to convert it, to bring it in. I'm not leaving it alone. I'm chasing after it. Then you know what? That's like the first step. Then it's moving. Then it's running. Right? So one of the foundations that I see, I might have said this in the first year. I don't remember if I did or not. But the whole mashal at the beginning, right, is this beautiful mashal of that when people are smeichim u'maraktim, people are dancing in a circle. Yeah? So this is the mashal that Rabbi Nachman chose to tell us over this idea of simcha. Right? And what's happening when you're dancing in a circle together with people? Right? You're kind of all like moving in the same direction. You're going, kind of following each other around, right? So one of the ways I understood this from the beginning, and I think it's very sweet, is that as soon as you start chasing after, and you're in the middle of the simcha, you're in the middle of the dance, and as soon as you start chasing after the sadness,
you break the rhythm.
You're bringing it. It's part of the dance. It's moving with you. Just like when you're dancing in a circle together, the person in front of me is moving ahead of me, and we're all going around, one after each other. If I start to chase after it, I'm literally bringing it in and turning it into part of the dance. As long as I'm willing to go after it. Right? So, we still don't know what we're talking about here, by the way. We're getting there. We still don't know how to do this. Right? But as long as I'm moving, as long as I have movement in this realm, as long as I'm not afraid of it, as long as I don't just let it sit there and I don't touch it, right? As long as I'm moving, I'm going after it, it becomes part of the movement. It becomes part of the circle. It becomes part of the dance. It becomes part of the simcha. It really does. So we have to understand how this works. So let's go a little farther. One more short paragraph, and we're going to be finished 23, and we can start to get in this a little bit. So he says, "V'zehu sasan v'simcha yasigo." This is what the pasuk means, that joy and happiness will overtake them. Shasasan v'simcha yasigo v'yitpasu as yagin v'nacha. That this joy and happiness is what's going to overtake and grab a hold of that sadness. Shem nasim eborchim min simcha, that are running away from the simcha. Lahachnis oisam bal korcha mateicha simcha, to bring them in against their will into the simcha, right? It's as if he's saying it so clearly when you go back and see it. He told us in the mashal. Sometimes we grab someone who's sad from outside the circle, we bring them in and we force them to dance with us. He says so too is our own inner selves over here. We have sadness, and it's standing there. And if we don't touch it, we don't go after it, and we just leave it, it's going to stay. It's not moving. But as soon as we go and we grab it, what happens? It comes into the dance with us, just like the mashal, and it starts going around and round, and it becomes part of the simcha. How does it become part of the simcha, though? Right? In a few minutes, we're gonna give over an idea that might be the answer. Let's see. Right? But it's becoming part of the dance. It's part of my life. So he says. Now this is going to be a foundational point. Ki yesh yagan v'nacha shehem asitra achra. Because there is sadness and crying, sighing, that is the sitra achra, the evil side. Right? The klipa, side of klipa. The side that seems to not want to do anything, have anything to do with good, that wants to pull us down. She'enam roitzim liyos merkava ela kedusha. It doesn't want to be a vehicle for kedusha, for holiness. V'alkein hem borchin min hasimcha. Therefore they run away from the simcha. Therefore, we have to force them into the kedusha, into the holiness. Dahainu hasimcha, which is simcha. So we just said something that's a huge bomb. We have to bring them into kedusha, which is simcha. Kedusha and simcha are one and the same. Dahainu hasimcha bal korcham, against their will, and that's the end of this first Torah. So, we said everything that we said right now. We understood this mashal, and we put forth this idea that we have to bring that sadness within us. We have to start chasing it. And once we start chasing it, it becomes part of our movement, right? And that movement becomes part of our dance, in my understanding over here. And that is really bringing it in. And is it forcing it to become simcha? Is it transforming it into simcha? Let's see. Let's see how the next Torah begins. This is page 22 now. It's the very next page. And it begins with something that could be one of maybe the second most famous statement from Rabbi Nachman ever, that everyone knows, which begins with Mitzvah Gedola Liyos Besimcha Tamid. It is a great mitzvah to be besimcha, happy, always. Leisgaber laharchik ha'atzvos shamar shachor b'chol koichay. To be misgaber, to strengthen oneself, to overcome, to distance sadness and gloom with all of one's strength. Okay. So, let's say like this. Mitzvah gedola. Hashem gave us a mitzvah. So first of all, this is not one of the 613 mitzvahs. Right? It's not counted in the list of mitzvahs. Everyone agrees that it is a Torah mitzvah to be happy, but it's not counted in the 613. So there's a famous pasuk that says in the Toichacha, the rebuke of the Jewish people that Moshe Rabbeinu gives over, and it says, why are all these bad things going to happen? Why are all these curses going to come upon us? I think it's in Parshas B'chakosai. Why are all these curses going to come upon us? Because tachas asher loy avadata es Hashem elokecha besimcha ubetuv leva. Because you did not serve Hashem with simcha and a happy heart. You could have been doing mitzvahs, but you didn't serve Hashem with simcha. That's why all these bad things are happening. Everyone agrees that we have to be besimcha, right? It's not one of the 613 counted mitzvahs. Why is Rabbi Nachman calling it a mitzvah gedolah? And what does it mean that it's a mitzvah? So, you have a mitzvah, let's say, to someone can suggest a mitzvah, but I'll say, for example, you have a mitzvah to not eat pork. Okay? You have a mitzvah to honor your parents. Oh, that's a really good one, by the way. You have a mitzvah to not commit adultery. Okay, let's take these three. Don't eat pork, honor your parents, don't commit adultery. So why do we have to have a mitzvah for this? What does it mean a mitzvah? Or the fact that it's a mitzvah means what?
Bring it to consciousness.
Bring it into consciousness, very good, and for sure. But it also means that it's a challenge. It also means that there's a force that pulls against it. Right? You don't have to give me a mitzvah if there was a mitzvah to eat ice cream, you don't have to tell me there's a mitzvah to eat ice cream. Just say you're allowed to eat ice cream, and I'll eat a lot of ice cream. Right? But if it's something that I would technically want to do, like it or not, you see it all over the place. How many marriages end because of people committing adultery? People have a drive to commit adultery. So there's a law, there's a mitzvah. Don't do it, you can't do it. Is it always easy to honor our parents? It's not always easy, right? Sometimes one of the more difficult things that people have to do. Yeah? So Hashem says, I'm giving you a mitzvah. And if it's a mitzvah, that means that there's a reason why it's not so easy. What was the other one? Eating pork? All right. People really like bacon. So it's a temptation. And it's hard to not eat it, I guess. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that there's a pull to those things. We always say, Zeh l'umazeh asa Elokim, that he made one thing in opposition to the other. If there's tremendous kedusha in one place, there has to be tremendous tumah that balances it. Why does there have to be a balance? Because this is the way Hashem created everything. Right? One of the ways we explain it is by saying, for the purpose of bechira, of free will, that it has to be that there's a balance, that there's a pull, and I can go either way. I can choose to do good or I can choose to not do good. This is the way the system is set up. Yeah? So, Zeh lu'mazeh. So that means that if there's a mitzvah gedola, it's a great mitzvah to be besimcha. That means a few things. One thing it means is that there's something that's pulling me the other way. And I would assume the opposite of simcha. He's going to say a little bit later. I'll give us a spoiler alert. He's going to say that the nature of a person is to go after sadness. Ki teva ha'adam limshech atzmoi lamar shechor va'atzvus. The nature of a person is to draw themselves towards sadness and gloom. I'm not using the word depression because it's a hot topic, and I'm not talking about clinical, psychological, psychiatric issues here. Just sadness and gloom. It's in our nature to go that way. We get pulled that way. So it's a mitzvah gedola, and it's a great pull. It's a huge problem. It's one of the worst things that can happen to us. We always say this idea that the Yetzer Hara is not interested in getting you to do that Avera that we just talked about, whichever one it is. To just, not honor your parents one day. He wants you to do an Avera. He wants you to eat that bacon. He wants you to have that adulterous relationship, and then experience the guilt and the low self-esteem and the sadness that comes after doing that. And we know that's going to do? It's going to put you on the couch for 2 weeks. And you're going to just be alone with your terrible thoughts brought down, and you're doing nothing good for 2 weeks. No mitzvahs, no chesed, no nothing, no simcha, no nothing. This is what he wants. He wants to pull us down. The atzvus and mara shechora are the worst thing that can happen. That's why it's a mitzvah gedola liyas b'simcha. Why? Because it's an avera gedola. It's to be in sadness and gloom. Because we're gone. We're done if we're in that place. Right? So therefore it's a mitzvah gedola. It's a great mitzvah. Also, it sounds to me like if Hashem made it a mitzvah gedola, He gave us this commandment, it's that He knows that we can do it. We're supposed to be able to do it. He can't give us a mitzvah that we can't do. I was not born a kohen of the priestly class, right? So am I committing an avera? Am I doing a sin in the fact that I never do any of the priestly obligations? No, it doesn't apply to me because I can't do it. Hashem only gives a mitzvah to us if it's something that we're able to do. So it must be that Hashem tells us that it's possible to do it. If He tells us in that toichacha that you know why all this bad stuff is going to happen, because you weren't besimcha. It must mean that he's telling us you can be besimcha and you should be besimcha, right? So we can do it. It's huge, it's gigantic, it's amazing, and we're able to do it. So the next aspect is it says liyos b'simcha. Liyos b'simcha. That means to be in simcha. To be in simcha. He didn't say liyos sameach, to be happy, just to be happy. Or he didn't say l'sameach satzmai, to gladden yourself. Right? He said liyos b'simcha. To be inside simcha. In simcha. Right? And then he said tamid. Tamid means always. It can mean a couple of things. How do you understand tamid? Tamid, always, can mean, generally, this happens in other sections in Torah where we talk about the word tamid. Tamid, the constant mitzvahs. There's 6 constant mitzvahs. Sheish mitzvahs tamidiyas. People talk about, does that mean that like every second I have to be mekayim that mitzvah? Or is it that it's tamid, that means that it's always, non-stop? Or is it tamid in the same way that the tamid shel shachar, the same korban, the same sacrifice was made every single day in the morning in the temple, in the Beis HaMikdash? Meaning not always, but consistently. Not every second, but every day. Right? Is it always, or is it consistently? That's 2 aspects to this to what the word tamid can be.
Or attachment.
Attachment? What do you mean?
That's like another informal way of saying like ishtamim.
It's always there.
Like it's always there.
It's always there.
It's like
Right, right,
it's a part of it.
right. So what does this tell us? How does this speak to us? Tamid. So if he's telling us mitzvah gedol liyos b'simcha tamid, it must mean that it's always possible to do it. At least it's possible every day to be b'simcha. But I think let's go simply. It's always possible to be b'simcha. How can that be? It doesn't sound like that should be really possible. Is it? What about what happens when I'm going about my day, happy-go-lucky, I'm dancing along the street, happy old me, and I get a phone call that the stock market crashed and I just lost a lot of money. I don't know. I'm not a stock market guy, but right? Or whatever. I don't want to say things that are too bad, but something. I don't know. Something happened, and it's not great, and so I'm supposed to be b'simcha now. Parking ticket. Oh, I got one last week. Parking ticket. Okay. Yeah, something happens that bothers you, right? So am I b'simcha right then? Is that called simcha? Why am I supposed to be b'simcha then? What's the story? Something's bothering me. Something has made me feel negative. Something's brought me down from that state that I was in. Mitzvah gedol liyos b'simcha tamid. I'm supposed to be here always? What does that mean? What does that mean? So, let's talk like this. So, I want to explain like this. We live our whole lives, and we're in the world for a certain period of time, and we go moment to moment. We have many experiences. Many things happen to us throughout our lives, right? And I'll say, I look around, I look online here, I look around the table, I see some smiling faces, and we're learning Torah together. It's a good time, right? This is good. I think all of my day today was good. Last week, someone in the community passed away and we had a shiva. That was tough. But, maybe the week before that, things were pretty good. Generally speaking, I wake up every day. And that's something exciting. I'm able to breathe. I'm not sick. I feel good. This is amazing stuff. I have a wife that I love. I have kids. I have a house. Everybody has things. Sometimes we love our pets. They make us happy. We have friends, right? We have so many things that are good, right? And so many things that we forget about that are good. All these birchos hashachar, the morning blessings that we say every day, that we're able to stand up, we're able to walk, we're able to breathe, we're able to see. We're able to see. Can you imagine? Right? We're able to taste. We're able to smell. We have all these things that we're so thankful for. And everybody knows, I'm sure, everybody has experienced some time where you lost something like this for some period of time. I know, for example, that it happens to me, my lungs are a bit sensitive. And I tend to, at least once a year, get some type of lung thing going on. Yeah, chest cold, hopefully it doesn't progress beyond that. And it's hard to breathe. Breathing is labored, and sometimes it hurts. And I'm coughing for, a couple of weeks. And when I get into that state, I think, wow, I took for granted just the fact that I was breathing nicely, didn't hurt, I wasn't coughing. I took it for granted. How could I take it for granted? How could I take that for granted? I wish I could just take a full breath right now. Never mind someone who's been, smoking all their lives and they find themselves later on in life in a hospital with emphysema and they can't breathe and it's not getting better. Can you imagine looking back and saying, oh my gosh, why did I take that for granted, right? So many good things. Meaning what? Why am I saying this? Our lives in general and the world in general is moment to moment, there's so much good. There's so much to be happy about. It's all simcha. Rabbi Dessler says he has a mimer on an article on the concept of happiness, and over there, he kind of gets into this idea, and he says you look around and people have all these things to be unhappy about, and it's a choice to be happy. And if we look around and we don't take these things for granted, we see that the world is really can be a happy place. If I go about it the right way. So what does that mean? It means there is such a thing as looking at the world and being besimcha, being inside simcha. Really, my whole existence is actually one big simcha. If I look at the big picture, and I can be in that place of simcha. Right? A couple analogies I was thinking of. I have two analogies. The first one is a little bit gross and kind of funny. But you ever seen a cruise ship? Right? Okay, one question before that. Have you ever had the unfortunate occurrence where there's a block in your drain and your basement fills up with sewage? No? I don't think I've had that either. But I heard from someone this week in the shul who had this happen to them. Sewage in their basement. Sewage. So that means whenever they tried to flush down, didn't go. And it came up in their basement. Right? That's disgusting, right? Okay? You're with me. The sewage of one household is disgusting. So you have one of these gigantic cruise ships. They're like cities on, they're like a city on a boat. Huge. Thousands of people are on this boat. Thousands of participants and thousands of workers are on these boats. They're gigantic, right? And do you know what they do with their sewage? It just gets dumped into the ocean. Yeah, they're not like pumping it off into some. They dump it into the ocean. And they're supposed to have some type of treatment system on it, but it just goes into the ocean, right? Or do you remember when there was a couple of years ago? I mean, there's been multiple ones, but a couple of years ago, there was an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico that broke open, and they couldn't fix it, right? And it was spilling. Like, I can't remember the volume, but it was like millions of liters of oil being spilled into the ocean, right? And we're looking at this. We're thinking about these ridiculous cruise ships, and we're looking at this oil spill, and we're thinking like, oh my gosh, like, is this the end of the world? All of this junk is going into the ocean. Millions of liters of oil are going into the ocean. You know where all that oil is now? It's just gone. Like, maybe there's a way to by the way, I'm not anti-environment at all, believe me. But I'm saying, it's not there anymore. The fish are swimming. You know? Everything, why? Because the ocean is so gigantic. It's so huge that this thing that we think is so gigantic, this spill, this one cruise ship, thousands of people, thousands of households is dumping its sewage there. You know what it's doing in there? It's as if you dropped one little grain of garlic into a big pail of water. It just dissipates, right? It's a depressing example. I don't want this to happen. I don't want people dumping sewage in the ocean. You know, I want us to keep the earth healthy. But you hear what I'm saying? It's just, it gets enveloped within that. It's gone. You know? Another interesting analogy is it's so too with simcha, is what I'm saying. Your whole life, there's so many moments that are good moments, happy moments. So many times I could just take a breath and say, thank you, Hashem, I can breathe. I can look out at the sky and be like, wow, I can't believe what I can see. Have you ever seen these videos when people, I love these videos, where people who are colorblind put on these special glasses for the first time and they're able to see color for the first time. And the emotion that they have is unbelievable when they see color for the first time. And we don't even think about it ever. Gorgeous little children, little babies who get the cochlear implants and they hear for the first time, and the emotion that's going on in that room between the child and the parent. You see the child's face light up when they first hear their mother speak to them. right? It's so huge and so amazing. And we are experiencing it right now, nonstop. And we don't think about it. This really could be our existence. That we could see we're in an ocean of simcha, an ocean of happiness, an ocean of amazing experiences. Right? And what comes along is this Mar Shechara, this point of sadness. And really we don't need to be afraid. We can bring it in, and it's going to become part of our simcha. We don't need to be afraid. That's the first point. But we still don't know exactly what we're doing over here yet. We still got to get there. Right? So this is amazing. Another amazing analogy, by the way. I'm going to give a wine analogy because I like to give as many wine analogies as I can. But it also makes a lot of sense. Because here, what are you doing? We're taking those things that are bad and we're saying, don't worry, I can take it. Bring it in. But there's another level to it. How about this analogy? So, if you ever listen to people who know wine explaining the characteristics of a wine, when you smell the wine, when you look at the wine, when you taste the wine, so there's all kinds of different terminologies and different aromas that are legitimately to be found within wine. None of it's put in there. It's just part of the amazing nature of wine and fermentation that it creates these unbelievable aromas. But listen to this. I wrote down a few just so I would remember. But so one characteristic in wine that in large quantities ruins it, but in very tiny quantities, in very small quantities, adds a level of complexity that actually makes the wine better, is ethyl acetate. It's a type of bacterial spoilage, and the smell that it creates, if there's a lot of it, is characterized often as barnyard. Like it smells like animal product, and it's disgusting. Sometimes people say it smells like sweaty socks. It's not a good smell, right? But when there's a little bit of it in the wine, the tiny amount, it adds complexity, and you don't notice it, and it just gives you something like, oh, there's something more going on here than I realized before, right? Another one is, we were talking about ethyl acetate. That's the one that smells like acetone, nail polish remover. Yeah. The one I was just saying, which is barnyard and sweaty socks, that's called Brettanomyces, which is often called Brett in wine. It's a type of yeast, actually. And it creates these flavors of barnyard, right? But these things, in small quantities, very small, just the right amount, they actually make the wine more complex and amazing. What else do you have? You have all these crazy flavors, like pipe tobacco, right? Pencil shavings. Sometimes you can smell in the nose. Old leather, right? These are flavors that come with age and from barrels. These crazy flavors that you'd think, I don't want my wine tasting like old leather. I don't want my wine tasting like pencil shavings, right? But when you take that and you put it within, it's not just that flavor. It's a little bit of that flavor mixed in this wine. It creates some of these flavors that make the best wines in the world.
Like a Taurus. It's like the incense.
Oh, just like the Torah, she's saying. That's one of the things that Reb Nosson explains about this Torah. Just like in the Torah, says Carmela, right? That you have 11 herbs and spices in the Torah, one which is called chelbana, galbanum in English. I don't know what that is. But it smells terrible. But when it's mixed in with the Torah, it makes something amazing. Right? So in the difference between the waste analogy and the wine analogy, and the Ketores analogy, by the way, is that we see that we take that thing that seems to us to be bad, but when we bring it in to the larger context of everything, not is it bad. We realize that it was there to add something. It was there to make something even better. That's what it means to bring the Yagan Vanacha into the Simcha. Liyos besimcha. And that's why I can do it tamid. I can do it always. If I just remember that the whole world is actually a place of Simcha. And generally speaking, every moment of my life is an incredible Simcha. And when these little things happen, I know they don't feel little all the time, I don't want to minimize them. But when certain things happen, and I bring them in to the larger context, I bring them into that dance, right? they become part of the simcha and they make it even stronger. They make it even better. Sometimes I'm able to see how this thing actually is helping me, right? I'm able to see how this is making me stronger, how it's showing me things about myself, how it's making me closer to Hashem. If you've ever been in a situation where there's something that you wanted so badly, and it was something good, something sweet, something holy, and you wanted it so much and you davened so much for it, so much years and years you davened for this, and then you received it, at the end you realize that it's not even the thing that you wanted. I mean, it could be a beautiful thing, it could be a shidduch, it could be children, whatever it is, right? And you got that. But what you realize is that, oh my gosh, I would never have been this close to Hashem. I would have never opened my heart. I would have never davened to Hashem like this. I never would have gotten so close if I didn't go through this. Right? Sometimes you get to see that thing, now I even understand why it's a huge simcha. It's just part of the whole thing. Right? So how do we see how this all goes together? Maybe in even a more powerful way that helps to explain why we're transferring it to simcha and why it's a huge mitzvah and why we can do it always. We can do it always. Why? So also, what is the purpose of creation? What is the purpose of our lives? What are we doing here? Right? There's a few words that the rabbis use to tell us the purpose of creation.
Revealing Hashem.
What?
Revealing Hashem.
Revealing Hashem. Very good. Revealing Hashem. Beautiful. I'm gonna put that under lahakir es boire, to recognize your Creator. Right? The Zohar Kodesh says in Aramaic, begin de ishtemuda'un le, in order so that we should know Him. Right? Famous one that we say all the time in Chassidus. Chabad says this very strongly. Many other say it also. But is to make a dira betachtonim, a dwelling place in the lower worlds.
To bring Him here.
Bring Him here. So think for a second. This, we are told, is the purpose of our existence. Is to, if we simplify it a little bit, is to find Hashem. Right? We have to find Hashem. We have to find Hashem in the tachtonim, in the dark places. Why did He make this whole situation that we have to find Hashem? And what does it mean if we have to find Him? We have to reveal Him. We have to know Him. It means that the way things are set up is that it happens that at times we don't. And it's not easy, and we don't see. Right? But in that place, we're supposed to find Hashem. We're supposed to reveal Him. Right? It means, really, that being able to take those moments that are our challenges, those moments that are our difficulties, those moments of sadness, despair, and when we're able to say, you know what? This is a huge ocean. My life is a huge ocean of goodness. And this thing is trying to pull me down right now. You know what? You know why this is happening to me? Because this right here is nothing less than my opportunity to fulfill the purpose of creation. This thing that's pulling me down right now, it's in the tachtonim, it's in the lower worlds. Oh, I'm taking it right back up. It's joining together with all those other millions of moments of simcha in my life. Right? Those things, these experiences that I'm having that are trying to pull me down. You know why it's here? It's only here that in order so that I should be able to know Hashem's there. I should be able to reveal Hashem in that place. Right? And within the context of everything, this puts together the purpose of creation together with Rabbi Nachman's advice on how we're going to always do it. And why we can always do it. Because we think that those times when I'm struggling, nisyonos, tests, we think that's Hashem's not there. We think that, life is so terrible. We think, I don't want to minimize anybody's challenges, by the way. I know it's very difficult. But at those moments, we feel like we're alone. We feel like Hashem doesn't care about me. Right? That's what we think. Why? Because we're not making the effort to be besimcha gedola tamid. Always. We're not in tune with the fact that my whole life is one big connection to Hashem. My whole life is one big simcha. right? If I'm and going back to what we said before, if I'm moving, I'm always chasing, I'm always running, I'm always dancing in this simcha in my life. I'm going from one thing to the next. I'm going up, I'm going down. Like the music is always playing, right? And it's going up and it's going down. It's going up and it's going down. But I'm recognizing that it's all part of this music. It's all part of this dance of my life. Yeah? And I'm happy. Then when that thing comes, I have at least a chance to be able to say, no. Even now, still b'simcha. I'm still within simcha. I'm taking it in because I realize what it is, what it's there for, and what its purpose is, and it's part of the whole big picture. This is the purpose of creation. This is mitzvah gedol lios b'simcha tamid, always. This is what it's like. And we're going to get into. I guess we'll start it next week to get into the next aspect of this, but which is so awesome. But we're going to see. We'll take questions at the end. But we're going to see this unbelievable idea. The next thing that he's going to say is that being b'simcha in this way, that we're going to understand even more, is directly connected to our physical health, our movement, and it's directly connected to music, to specifically the Asare Mini Negina, the 10 types of song that Sefer Tehillim was written with. David HaMelech used 10 specific types of nigun, of song type in Sefer Tehillim, and they correspond to the 10 pulses within our body, and they're all connected. But really, we're going to see that they're all actually connected on even a much, much, much deeper level to something cosmic. So we'll hold it here for today, and next week on Thursday, same time, same place, we'll continue, and we'll try to pull it. I think it might be the last lesson that we do on 24, on 23 and 24 next week. We'll see how far we get, maybe not. But we'll try to get to something very big and cosmic, very amazing, and in Mirz Hashem it will help us to be able to internalize this and to really experience life as being b'simcha tamid, God willing. Okay, I see Toby has a question.